Good afternoon. This is Brielle. Today I wanted to talk about a different way to use a deck of tarot cards. Many people shy away from tarot because they are afraid that there's some evil spiritual connection. They don't like to deal with things that might be magical or to deal with spirits. Some people think that tarot cards may let people like me communicate with demons or other invisible beings. However, even if a person has no interest in any sort of spirituality, in spiritism, and even if a person believes in nothing at all, there could still be fun and interesting ways to use a deck of tarot cards. In some places, businesses, artists, and other people may use tarot cards just to simply get an idea, to see a picture or an image or a meaning of something that they would not normally think of. So it's just a way that some people could use to jar their mind to get new thoughts for creativity. And I'm going to show you one such way that could be fun. And I call it the tarot story. The premise of it is as follows. And to do it today, I'm going to draw 5 cards. We're not going to make this too long. And this could be used as a fun party game. And there have been instances where several people at a party drew a different card, and the reader told them a story using the card. Now the intention wasn't to find an answer or a meaning. It was just merely entertainment, to have a story where each person continues a part of it. And today I'm going to show you how you could use tarot cards to do such a thing. So now it's time for the tarot story. I'm going to draw 5 cards on the table, and the men are accustomed to me to do so. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and this isn't exactly a spread. I'm just laying them out like that because it's convenient and easy for me to look at. Here are the cards I have on my table right here. And I'm going to flip them over for you to look at. And we're going to tell a story together. Of course. So, a good way to start a story is with once upon a time. So that is how we are going to do it. I'm going to look at the card and show you the picture and tell you a story. Once upon a time, there was a woman who lived in the River Kingdom, where it rained constantly. But she was distraught because everywhere around her, all she could see was rain. Everything was murky. She couldn't walk anywhere without her feet sloshing, or her socks getting thoroughly drenched. It was quite uncomfortable, so she sought to leave the land from which she was born. Now let us continue our story with our next card. However, the woman from the river village, she did not know how to get there, so she sought the wise man of her village, who was well versed in making maps, for he was the only one who had left their river village and returned home many years to tell about it. The strange thing about it was, this man was 900 years old, but his journeys had kept him youthful and exuberant as a child. Now the next part of our story the wise man told her to go seek her fortune in the world, because somewhere out in the world was the love of her life waiting for her. The love of her life was a member of the royal family who was powerful and yet humble at the same time. However, one thing she did not know was the love of her life was betrothed to a powerful witch and soothsayer, and she would not let her betrothed away so easily. But how was this woman from the river village to ever find such a love? And how would she acquire her? Well, the Five of Wands told her that she would go around the whole world and would return. But her true love, although she would never see her, would speak to her in dreams. And because my story seems longer than I intended, I'm going to add a few more. And then, that night, the woman from the river village had a powerful dream that she was captured and imprisoned. And what could she do? Would this witch, who knew her desires, for she could scry and foresee things before they happened, know that she was seeking her love? Well, it didn't matter, because to have the love you need for a moment is better than a lifetime of being where you've always been. The woman from the river village never met the woman who was her betrothed, but she didn't need to, because sometimes having a dream is more powerful and beautiful than acquiring it. The end. As you can see, kind of a silly, not very complete story, but as you can see, this could give a person many different ideas they could relate to. Even if you don't believe in the occult or magical practices, someone who may have been coveting someone from a distance could still get the idea from their unconsciousness, well, this can never be, but you know what? I could still be happy. I can still do something interesting with my life. And you don't need spirits or magic to do so. I'll demonstrate another very, very quick, because this is getting long, way that tarot could give someone a creative idea. Okay. Let's call this guy Peter, just because it's the first thing that popped into my head. Don't read into it, it means nothing. Well, Peter is an executive in a large corporation. Peter has been informed by the managers underneath him that there's been a great problem with workers who have been calling out, and a lot of the projects they need have not been getting accomplished because there's just not enough manpower with workers calling out. So Peter asked his board for an idea. He asked his underlings if they had any idea. Well, his worker just couldn't come up with an idea about how to get more people to come into work on time. So, one of his men, let's call him Bob. Bob is stumped. So, he goes through a deck of cards and he pulls one out. Well, he pulls out this card. Now, Bob has never ever studied tarot cards. He's just trying something new. He sees a wheel here. So Bob looks at the image and he says, you know what? Let's get a spinning wheel like the Wheel of Fortune. And anytime an employee comes into work for 2 consecutive months and doesn't miss a day, they get to spin this wheel. And if they do, we give them a little prize, like maybe an extra long lunch break. Now you see, here's a situation where the people using the cards didn't have any inclination or any spiritual motivation, but by just sometimes seeing an image or an idea, it could bring your mind in a different direction for something you haven't thought of before. Now, would their plan to do this work? Well, I cannot say, but it would give them something to jar them out of what I would call their writer's block or their thought block. And sometimes trying something new may not work, but then it could lead to new things that work later. So there are just some of the ways that you don't have to actually be involved in the occult to enjoy the art and beauty of a deck of tarot cards. However, I do believe in the spiritual aspects of them, so let us just say, if you don't even believe in blessings, I wish goodness and happiness for your life. Be well.